James cautiously navigated the dim corridors of the abandoned manor, his heart racing in sync with the rhythmic creaking of the aged floorboards beneath his cautious steps. Each flicker of his flashlight cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance ominously on the walls, heightening the sense of foreboding that hung heavy in the air. Rumors and tales had led James to this forsaken place, stories of spectral apparitions and unspeakable horrors that lurked within the decaying walls. Yet, fueled by curiosity rather than fear, James pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries that shrouded the forgotten estate. Ass. He ventured deeper into the darkness. An icy chill crept up his spine, warning him of the looming danger ahead. Ignoring the instinctual urge to retreat, James continued his exploration, driven by an insatiable curiosity. Suddenly, a faint whisper broke through the oppressive silence, barely audible above the sound of his own ragged breath. James froze, straining to discern the source of the ghostly voice that echoed through the corridors like a haunting melody. Drawing closer, he realized then that he was not alone in the darkness, that something sinister lurked just beyond the reach of his feeble light. With trembling hands, he pressed forward, each step heavier than the last as he braced himself for the unknown. And then, as if in response to his silent prayers, the shadows parted, revealing a sight that would forever haunt his nightmares. Before him stood a spectral figure, cloaked in darkness, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly fire. James felt the weight of its gaze bore into him, stripping away his defenses and leaving him vulnerable to the horrors that surrounded him. In that moment, James knew he was trapped, ensnared in a nightmare from which there was no escape. As the darkness closed in around him, he could only pray for a swift end to his torment, a release from the nightmare that had become his reality. But the spectre was not alone. As James stumbled backward, he became aware of other presences lurking in the darkness, their whispers growing louder with each passing moment. Desperate to flee, James raced through the corridors, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he searched for an exit. But the mansion seemed to stretch on endlessly, its layout shifting and twisting like a maze designed to confound and ensnare. Panic clawed at James's mind as he stumbled blindly through the darkness, pursued by the relentless whispers that echoed in his ears. But just when he thought he could bear it no longer, he glimpsed a glimmer of light shining through a crack in the wall ahead. With renewed hope, James lunged toward it, throwing himself against the barrier with all his strength. To his relief, the wall gave way, crumbling to dust before his eyes and revealing a passage beyond. Without hesitation, James fled into the moonlit courtyard, his heart pounding in his chest as he raced toward the promise of freedom. But his relief was short-lived. In the center of the courtyard stood the spectre, its eyes burning with a cold intensity. With nowhere left to run, James stood his ground, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he prepared to face his fate. But instead of striking him down, the spectre spoke its voice a whisper in the night, filled with a sorrow that tore at James's heart. "Do not be afraid," it said, its words echoing in the stillness. "I am not your enemy." Confused, James opened his eyes, unsure of what to expect. But as he looked into the spectre's eyes, he saw only sadness and regret. "I am trapped here, just as you are," the spectre continued, its voice a lament. "Cursed to wander these halls for all eternity. Unforgotten, As the spectre spoke, James felt a wave of empathy wash over him, filling him with a sense of understanding he had not thought possible. For in that moment, he realized that they were not so different, both prisoners of the mansion's dark history, bound together by fate. And as the spectre reached out to him, James took its hand, his heart filled with hope for the first time since he had entered the mansion's cursed halls. For though their journey would be perilous, he knew that as long as they stood together, they would never be truly alone. Hand in hand, they ventured into the darkness, their spirits alight with the promise of a future beyond the shadows. For in the heart of the forgotten manor, where echoes of the past mingled with the whispers of the present, they would find the key to their salvation and the courage to face whatever trials lay ahead.